elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power. Onion Weon.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching GRAVITAS. I'm Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. In a dangerous escalation, Moscow airports temporarily suspended flights earlier today amid the latest drone barrage. In fact, Moscow shot down over 80 drones. Russian attacks, meanwhile, have left several dead in Ukraine. The latest round of escalation follows repeated strikes on Moscow's oil refinery. A lot has happened in just the last 48 hours. We are piecing together the latest from the battlefield and getting you the bigger picture right now. Also on the show for you tonight, the latest round of musical chairs at 10 Downing Street. Keir Starmer has announced his resignation today. The UK is set to get its 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. We get you a detailed report. A GRAVITAS special report coming up on how the FIFA World Cup has become a status symbol for billionaires. All this and lots more coming your way. A dangerous chapter has started in the Russia-Ukraine war, with each passing hour making the situation increasingly precarious following a series of escalations. Moscow shot down dozens of drones in the early hours of Monday. According to the mayor's statement earlier, as many as 84 drones headed for Moscow were downed in the past 24 hours. In fact, airports, several of them in Moscow and near the Russian capital, in fact, had temporarily suspended flights. In total, the Russian defense systems downed 301 drones overnight, as per the local news wires, citing the defense ministry. And this comes just days after a repeated Ukrainian strike on the city's oil refinery. Meanwhile, Russian attacks in Ukraine reportedly killed at least 6 people, including a boy and his father. Russian drone attacks in the southeastern Ukrainian city of Zaporizhia overnight and early on Monday killed 2 people and injured a further 7, according to Ukraine's emergency services. Russia also hit the southern Odessa region with a ballistic missile on Sunday evening, killing 1 and injuring 3 people, according to the regional governor. According to him, in fact, vehicles and fuel storage tanks caught fire after the strike hit an agricultural facility. The city of Sevastopol in Russia-annexed Crimea cancelled all open-air public events on Monday and will be keeping streetlights switched off, according to its governor, as he called on people to curb the electricity usage. The Kremlin has said intense work was underway to try to minimize the negative consequences of the fuel disruption. in Russian-held Crimea following the Ukrainian drone attacks on the Black Sea Peninsula. Crimea has reportedly suspended fuel sales to the public and businesses, with supplies restricted to government agencies responsible for essential services and security. As Ukraine's drone attacks on its supply routes and energy facilities elsewhere led to a fuel crisis, in fact, the Ukrainian president has said Ukrainian forces have struck energy and military infrastructure either side of the key bridge linking Crimea and Russia. According to Ukraine's Navy, meanwhile, Russian drones hit a Turkish dry cargo vessel which was sailing under a Panamanian flag. In fact, the Deputy Prime Minister has said a 58-year-old Egyptian cook was killed. 8 other crew members, including some Turkish and Indian nationals, had to evacuate on a lifeboat. Russia has repeatedly attacked Ukraine's maritime export routes, striking vessels and ports vital to foreign trade. In fact, the latest escalation coming at a time when the situation has already been heating up, reaching dangerous levels of volatility. Remember, earlier Russia had vowed to hit back with massive group strikes in response to Ukraine's largest ever drone bombardment of Moscow. Ukrainian forces had launched nearly 200 drones at the Russian capital on Thursday itself, with more than 1,000 drones fired at Russia on Thursday alone. A drone strike hit Moscow's Sol oil refinery last week in one of the biggest air attacks on the city since the war started. On Monday, a huge plume of smoke rose from a production plant in Russia's Voronezh after a strike. As Ukraine said, it had targeted the site. President Zelensky had issued an ultimatum earlier, giving Belarus's leader a week to remove equipment from his country used in the Russian drone attacks on Ukraine. The Ukrainian leader threatened to take action if his message was ignored. And now, in the latest from behind the scenes, the Kremlin has accused Ukraine of threatening the sovereignty of the close Russian ally Belarus, but also said it had no doubts that Minsk was in a position to defend itself. The Kremlin spokesman also said Putin and Lukashenko would be discussing Zelensky's remarks. Big questions continue to hang in the air. What about the peace talks? What would the strategy look like from here onwards on the two sides? Remember, Russia and Ukraine have both intensified attacks on each other in recent weeks, even as the US-led talks on ending the war remain effectively frozen. While some would say the world's attention has pretty much been on the Iran war and the situation in West Asia overall, the Ukraine war needs to end before it has more explosive consequences. Remember, Trump promised to end the war in 24 hours. It's already been the longest 24 hours ever, it seems. The war, by the way, has gone on for over 1,500 days. And as of now, there are no signs of the tensions easing. And even as the US president's threat to hit Iran very hard again risked derailing the talks in Switzerland, both sides eventually agreed on a roadmap towards reaching a final deal within a period of 60 days. After the first session of the high-level talks, the parties decided to basically form a high-level committee which will be providing oversight on the mediation process. The chief negotiators, in turn, will report regularly to this committee for ensuring the effective implementation of the MOU. This essentially laid the foundation for the immediate commencement of further technical talks. In order to avoid incidents and miscommunication, a communication line has been formed aiming for the safe passage of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Apart from this, the US and Iran resolved to create a deconfliction cell, which will involve the two sides and Lebanon to ensure the termination of military operations in Lebanon. In a major potential revenue boost for Iran, meanwhile, the US issued a temporary 60-day license authorizing the production, delivery and sale of Iranian oil, while the IRGC has announced the closure of Hormuz over the weekend, citing Israel's continued breach of the ceasefire in Lebanon. The U.S. claimed that Iran has committed to free and open transit in that crucial waterway. In fact, the U.S. Vice President revealed that the talks so far had laid what he called a very good foundation for reaching a final deal on ending the war, and he claimed that Iran has agreed to permit IAEA inspectors back into the country. It's also worth noting here that Tehran suspended cooperation with the world's nuclear watchdog last year, remember, after the U.S.-Israeli air attacks on its nuclear sites.
Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran.
And weighing in on Trump's threat, Vance asserted that it was in response to the alleged trash talk. While acknowledging that the Iranian delegation threatened to walk out subsequently, he also claimed that it did not follow up on its threat. While Trump has regularly denied any possibility of releasing funds to Iran, Vance's position was markedly different. In a first admission of sorts, the U.S. admitted that it could agree to unfreeze Iranian assets, which would supposedly be used by Tehran for purchasing U.S. soy, corn, wheat. Tehran has not confirmed that claim.
If there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people.
And why does all of this matter? The discussion of releasing its frozen assets, remember, is one of Iran's preconditions to commence the negotiations for a final agreement. And that's why this is extremely crucial.
Issuing the necessary permits for the export of Iran's oil and petrochemical derivatives and the discussion of releasing Iran's frozen assets are two important issues. These two must happen so that we can enter into negotiations for a final agreement according to Article 13 of the Memorandum of Understanding.
But the two sides still remain at loggerheads over key issues. For example, while the Iranian foreign minister claimed that a major reconstruction and development plan has been launched for the country, the joint statement issued by Qatar and Pakistan made no mention of that. Also, when it comes to the management of Hormuz, that of course remains that major point of contention. The Masoud Pezeshkian-led government is also yet to confirm access to the IAEA or how it plans to deal with the enriched uranium. Besides this, Israel's repeated violation of the Lebanon ceasefire remains a sticking point, of course. Iran's red line remains clear, with Arakchi dubbing the creation of the deconfliction cell the first real test of America's commitment. But with the technical talks expected to continue in the next few days and weeks, hopes are rising for better cooperation between Iran and America as of now. Following months of mounting pressure, Keir Starmer has now announced his resignation as the UK Prime Minister and leader of the Labour Party, kick-starting a process that will see Britain getting a new Prime Minister all over again. This is the latest round in the musical chairs at 10 Downing Street, it seems. In fact, in a speech outside 10 Downing Street, Starmer conceded he had lost the support of his Labour Party MPs. He also said he had informed King Charles about his decision to step down so that a new Labour leader and Prime Minister could be elected. Listen in to what he said.
I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September.
And his departure follows mounting pressure from within the party and outside after the disappointing election performances, internal divisions and growing concerns overall about the party's ability to counter the rise of Reform UK. Starmer said he would remain in office until the Labour Party elects a new leader and Prime Minister. Several senior ministers and party figures are now being discussed as potential successors as Labour prepares for that major leadership contest. Andy Burnham widely seen as the leading candidate to succeed Starmer. Hours after the resignation announcement as the leader of the Labour Party, Burnham sworn in as the new MP for Makerfield. And remember, he has confirmed that he would be seeking to replace Starmer as leader of the ruling Labour Party and Prime Minister. Also, Angela Rayner remains one of the most recognizable figures in the party and is often mentioned as a possible successor. Other potential names or challengers for the UK top job, including the former Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, also the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. The leader of the hard-right anti-immigration reform UK party, Nigel Farage, meanwhile, has called for general elections to be held after Starmer announced his resignation. And now with Starmer's exit, the list of UK prime ministers who have left office before the next general election continues to grow, from the departure of Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Rishi Sunak. Frequent changes in the leadership there have become a defining feature, it seems, of British politics. Meanwhile, the Russian presidential envoy has celebrated the British Prime Minister Starmer's resignation, publicly claiming that Russia did this jointly by exposing Starmer's policies. And Starmer's resignation coming less than 2 years after Labour's sweeping victory in the 2024 general election. Starmer, remember, was nearly ousted in the month of March over that ill-fated decision to appoint Peter Mandelson, a known associate of the late US sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, as the UK's ambassador to Washington. Of course, let's also take a look at what the sentiment has looked like on the ground. This is how some of the people have been reacting to Starmer's resignation announcement. Also, the potential candidates who are in the fray to replace him, the names that have been doing the rounds. Here are some voices.
Not surprised. I think he's done the right thing. I think he needs to step aside and let someone else take over. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing.
It appears to be a foregone conclusion that Andy Burnham is going to become Prime Minister. It looks like it might be a coronation. There is some debate that it should be contested, and it would be more healthy if there was some form of contest.
I'm glad, really. Just needed a change. I think like most of the country are probably feeling the same way as what I am. Like, all you're hearing is like how much of the bad job he's doing. And I did want to vote Labour in the first place. But I'm just worried it's going to be out of the frying pan and into the fire now with potentially this Andy Burnham coming in.
Well, I think it's good because I'm living here 18 years, and since I came over here, this country was beautiful. You could work, live, do whatever you like. Right now, you just work like a slave, and you don't have money for nothing. I'm a hard-working labourer. I work in construction site, and it's really, this country went down for this couple of years already.
Shifting focus now to a GRAVITAS special report. The FIFA World Cup is not just a battle for football's biggest prize. In 2026, it's also becoming a contest in wealth, exclusivity and status. As ticket prices soar beyond the reach of many ordinary fans, the ultra-rich reportedly turning the tournament into the world's most expensive social club, it seems. The 2026 World Cup expected to become the costliest sporting event in history, according to a report by Times UK. For the first time, FIFA is targeting the world's top 1% and the luxury experience extending far beyond the matches, in fact. FIFA's platinum access packages, reportedly, for example, including private jet trips to West Texas, sunrise coffee, yoga sessions atop the Empire State Building, VIP breakfasts at Tiffany's, tickets to recordings of late-night television shows in New York. In fact, concierge companies and ultra-luxury travel agents reportedly saying the World Cup has become a status symbol of sorts. Their clients reportedly demanding private jets and helicopter transfers to stadiums, penthouses at five-star hotels, and exclusive meetings with players. And for some, even a seat inside the stadium is not enough. Select ticket holders reportedly will get the chance to walk onto the pitch during the trophy ceremony with the winning team and enjoy exclusive VIP entrances and hospitality lounges. FIFA has reportedly never offered such access before. The prices alone revealing how the tournament has changed pretty much. The most expensive ticket for the 2022 World Cup final in Qatar, for example, cost $1,600. A VIP ticket with access to the pitchside lounge for the England versus Panama match in New Jersey cost $4,500 reportedly. Hospitality tickets for the World Cup final starting at $16,475. Access to the trophy lounge costing $35,000. Private boxes expected to fetch six-figure sums. Concierge service providers that work directly with FIFA say demand for suites and boxes remaining exceptionally strong because attending has become about status. And FIFA has also announced dynamic pricing for the first time and now allows resales through third-party websites. The governing body reportedly expects to generate $13 billion during this 4-year cycle, up sharply from $7.57 billion in the previous cycle. And while the World Cup's biggest competition may still be on the pitch, but away from it, another contest appears to be unfolding. In a way, a race among billionaires to buy the most exclusive World Cup experience that money can get. Before we go on, a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We get to the latest on that major explosion that rocked Qatar's massive LNG complex and the larger implications. As the EU lifts travel restrictions on Assam, we decode the implications, the economic and strategic boost for Assam from the EU's latest move. All this and lots more coming up. And speaking of the latest developments coming in from West Asia, news just coming in. According to the Qatar Energy CEO, Indians and Pakistanis were among those killed in that massive blast at Qatar's natural gas complex on Sunday. Remember the LNG complex on Sunday, the explosion that occurred there, 13 people were killed, 66 were injured. After that explosion, which occurred as the workers were restarting operations, halted after an Iranian attack in March, Qatar Energy CEO in the latest saying this was an accident and not a sabotage or hostile in nature. In fact, plant production was intentionally completely stopped, remember, since December 2025. Due to urgent maintenance requirements, it was first restarted only 2 days ago. And he also said there is no risk to the environment and the plant's export capabilities were unaffected. As per the latest statement coming in, as we continue to monitor the latest coming in from Qatar as a result of that explosion that occurred earlier, according to the Qatar Energy CEO, Indians and Pakistanis were among those killed in that massive blast at the liquefied natural gas complex there. Listen to this.
Unfortunately, I find myself today having to do something I have always hoped would never happen, and that is to announce the tragic loss of 13 lives of our people who hold Indian and Pakistani nationalities. 66 people have been reported injured and are receiving medical treatment, none of whom are in life-threatening condition.
All right, so that's the latest statement coming in after that major explosion at Qatar's main liquefied natural gas processing facility. It claimed the lives of 13 people, 66 people were injured. The explosion occurred late on Sunday night in Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial zone, with witnesses reporting a loud boom along with a plume of smoke rising from the area. In fact, the Qatar energy minister saying what happened there was an accident and not aggression or sabotage. He also says 13 people were killed, 66 injured. The minister also saying that the investigation into the cause of the accident has started. He added that it has not affected the export capabilities and stated that the resumption of operations at the affected factory is difficult to determine for now. The blast reportedly resulted in an explosion and fire at the Barzan local gas supply facility. The ministry has cleared that there is no leak posing a threat to public safety. The facility had already been badly damaged as a result of that recent war between the US, Israel and Iran. Iranian attacks during the war targeted the Gulf energy infrastructure, including Ras Laffan, remember, forcing Qatar to halt gas production. And after the incident, the Indian embassy in Doha posted a statement on X and expressed concern over the incident. The embassy also assured of any assistance possible by mentioning the helpline numbers for further queries and assistance. This Ras Laffan industrial city is about 50 miles north of Doha. It's also home to the world's largest LNG export complex, producing about 1/5 of the global supply. While Qatar is one of the world's leading LNG producers, of course, alongside the US, Australia and Russia, the country's energy minister has said in March that Iranian attacks have knocked out 17% of Qatar's LNG export capacity, causing an estimated $20 billion in lost annual revenue and threatening supplies to Europe and Asia. Shifting focus now to India, political corridors witnessing a familiar turn of events in Maharashtra. 2/3 MPs belonging to Shiv Sena's Uddhav Thackeray faction have joined hands with the Shiv Sena faction led by Eknath Shinde. In fact, the crossover played out at the YB Chavan Center in South Mumbai, where 6 breakaway Shiv Sena UBT MPs shared the dais with Shinde to announce their decision to join that group. Shinde called the revolt an effort to save Bal Thackre's Shiv Sena and preserve the ideology of the party. The list of rebels, including Nagesh Babu Rao, also Sanjay Deshmukh, Sanjay Jadhav, Sanjay Dina Patil, and also Om Prakash and Bao Sahib Vakchore. The political crisis, nicknamed as Operation Tiger by the BJP and Shinde, has further weakened Uddhav Thackeray's camp as the rebel bloc now represents 2/3 strength required to avoid disqualification under the anti-defection law. And amid the growing rebellion within Shiv Sena UBT, Uddhav Thackeray is expected to address the party legislators and lay out the strategy following the revolt. The meeting coming just days after a similar gathering on the 17th of June, remember, which was skipped by 6 MPs now believed to be part of the rebel camp. Shiv Sena has a long history of rebellions, of course. The party has seen some high-profile departures. Bal Thackre's close aide also left the party in the year 1991. The next major departure came in the year 2004, when former Chief Minister Narayan Rane left the Shiv Sena. Rane later joined the BJP, remember, and rose to the rank of Union Minister under the Modi government. One of the biggest jolts in a way came in the year 2005, when Bal Thackre's nephew Raj Thackray left the party to form his separate political outfit. He was seen as Bal Thackre's political heir, but left the party after Uddhav Thackeray rose to prominence. The next major jolt came in 2022, when majority of the MPs and MLAs joined the Eknath Shinde faction, and he later became the state's chief minister with the BJP support. Shinde now claims to be leading the real Shiv Sena with the original symbol there, the bow and arrow symbol. And the latest split also tilting the numbers in the lower house of the parliament in the ruling NDA's favour. The bloc has added around 26 MPs to their kitty in less than a month because of the revolts in Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress and the Shiv Sena UBT. On to Colombia now. It has elected a new president who styles himself as a political outsider. Reportedly campaigns like a strongman and enjoys the support of US President Donald Trump. The nationalist lawyer, known to his followers as the Tiger, reportedly built his rise on promises of law and order. And he blamed the outgoing leader, Gustavo Petro, for Colombia's economic and security troubles and vowed to crush the drug traffickers, confront the illegal armed groups, and revive a struggling economy there. His message of tough security measures and market-friendly reforms reportedly resonated with the voters seeking change.
I will govern for all Colombians, for those who voted for me and for those who chose another candidate. There will be no winners or losers. There will be no reprisals, no persecution, because in a democracy, there are no irreconcilable enemies.
The president-elect shares a close bond with Donald Trump, with the US president even endorsing him during the campaign, describing him as a leader who would crack down on crime and restore law and order. After the election result, Trump wrote a simple message on his Truth Social account. I'm quoting, "He won big," quote unquote. And the president-elect's victory, in fact, is expected to usher in a warmer phase in the US-Colombia relationship after years of friction between Trump and Petro. But the president-elect is more than a politician. He is a high-profile attorney and businessman whose interests range from wine, rum, clothing to real estate. An investigative report, however, reportedly found that several of his businesses were dissolved, burdened with debt, or suffered losses, reportedly, in 2024, while his law firm remained his most profitable venture, reportedly. The president-elect has reportedly cultivated a larger-than-life image. He frequently appeared on the campaign trail, giving a military salute despite never serving in the armed forces. He is often seen wearing luxury watches, designer sunglasses, sporting a groomed beard, reinforcing his strongman persona in a way. The president-elect also has attracted controversy, of course. He reportedly represented figures linked to corruption scandals, right-wing paramilitaries, as well as a Venezuelan businessman who faces money laundering charges in the United States, reportedly linked to the ousted Venezuelan leader, Nicolas Maduro. In fact, a married father of four, a singer of traditional folk music, a citizen of Colombia, Italy, and the United States. That's a part of his story. The leader will be assuming office on the 7th of August as Colombia's new right-wing president, and perhaps one of Trump's closest political allies in the region. Increasingly frustrated by Israel's fight against Hezbollah, US President Donald Trump has hinted at tasking ally Syria with dealing with the Lebanon-based group. However, the Syrian president snubbed Trump's suggestion. Speaking to Fox News, reportedly, the US president stated that he was close to giving Syria the responsibility of handling Hezbollah's threat and expressed disappointment with Israel's approach. Trump openly pitched this idea on the sidelines of the G7 summit as well. Listen to this.
And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
However, al-Shara ruled out the possibility of a military intervention in Lebanon. Speaking to the Al-Mashhad news outlet, he said, and I'm quoting, "We are looking for economic channels between Lebanon and Syria, not military ones," quote unquote. And he claimed that Trump's remarks were misunderstood. While expressing great concern over Lebanon's domestic situation, al-Shara made it clear that the solution will not come through bombing of cities. Stressing that the war has to stop, he called for economic, political, social solutions to the conflict. When asked whether he would engage in negotiations with Hezbollah, the Syrian president did not rule out this option to safeguard interests of Lebanon and Syria. Let's also take a look at why Syria's role is crucial. The Assad dynasty, which ruled the country for over 5 decades, played an important role in empowering Hezbollah and training its fighters. The Lebanon-based outfit also fought alongside Bashar al-Assad's forces in Syria's civil war, remember, while Hezbollah is a key adversary of Syria since 2024, when Assad was toppled. Al-Shara has largely been focused on rebuilding his country in order to gain domestic as well as international legitimacy. Although Israel and Hezbollah agreed to a fresh ceasefire on the 19th of June after the US and Iran signed an MOU, the IDF continued its attacks on Lebanon. A day earlier, Israeli drones dropped bombs in the city of Nabateh, and an IDF tank opened fire towards the outskirts of a village in southern Lebanon. As per Lebanon's health ministry, over 4,000 people have been killed in Lebanon, 4,106 to be precise, since the beginning of Israel's war, and over 12,000 others have been injured. Meanwhile, the IDF claimed to have discovered a Hezbollah underground tunnel beneath a village in southern Lebanon, which allegedly contained weapons, missiles, drones, and missile launch pads, reportedly. Despite growing outrage over IDF's military operations, Netanyahu reaffirmed that Israeli forces will remain in southern Lebanon as long as necessary. Remember, he earlier also claimed that no other armed forces seek to limit civilian casualties in the war like Israel.
I stand firm that we will remain in the security zone in southern Lebanon for as long as necessary to protect the residents of the north and all citizens of the country.
On the other hand, the Hezbollah chief vowed to respond to Israel if it violates the ceasefire. While the Lebanese president held talks with the US Vice President and Qatar's Prime Minister earlier in the day on ways to reinforce the ceasefire, it remains to be seen whether Israel will halt its aggression and where things go from here onwards. Shifting focus, after 47 years, the European Union has changed its mind on Assam. Brussels' withdrawal of its negative travel advisory in force since 1979 clears all 27 member nations to visit nearly the entire state of Assam. In our next report, we are decoding the economic and the strategic boost for Assam from the EU's latest move. Take a look.
Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma confirmed European Union's decision to remove the travel restrictions on the state. Sarma said EU Ambassador Herve Delphin informed Assam's Chief Secretary the change took effect from Friday 19th of June. This is not an isolated diplomatic gesture. It is the third advisory rollback in 18 months. Australia and Japan had lifted similar restrictions last year. Sarma said the EU's decision will boost tourism, business and enhance ties with Brussels. The Chief Minister said Washington and Ottawa are next on the list, and a clean sweep there would matter more than the headline suggests, because US and Canadian advisories carry the heaviest weight with insurers and corporate travel desks. Track the timeline and the strategy becomes obvious. Assam has been working with foreign embassies since Advantage Assam Summit held in February 2025, which pulled in 4.92 trillion rupees or about $52 billion, nearly 5 times the 2018 edition. 67 heads of mission and delegates from 76 countries showed up. Travel advisories don't just deter tourists, they deter business travel, insurance coverage and institutional money. Lifting one widens the funnel for everything else, including hotels, homestays, MICE tourism and even due diligence visits from prospective investors who had previously sent compliance teams instead of coming themselves. The EU's decision opens up foreign investment in the state, giving a shot in the arm for Assam's economic ambitions. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.
On to France now, which is battling an intensifying heat wave that has pushed the temperatures beyond 40 degrees Celsius, shutting hundreds of schools, disrupting transport services. One of the most striking measures has been the government's decision to ban alcohol consumption in public places in regions under the highest heat wave alert as the authorities scramble to deal with the dangerous conditions. Our next report getting you the complete story.
France has placed 49 of its 96 regions under a red heat alert, while dozens of other regions remain on orange alert, affecting an estimated 63 million people across the country. The country's forecaster has warned that the heat wave will be widespread, long-lasting, and intense. Despite the heat, the country's annual street music festival went ahead. However, the government banned alcohol consumption in public places in areas under red alert to prevent severe heat-related illnesses and combat dangerous compounding effects of extreme heat and alcohol, which significantly increase dehydration and impair the body's cooling mechanisms. The heat has already taken a deadly turn in France. Authorities in the southwestern France said 3 people aged between 80 and 95 died partly due to the intense heat. In Paris, locals sought relief by jumping into the Saint Martin Canal.
Overall, with regard to the heat wave, I suffer from it a lot, but it's cool to be able, like today, to go to the Canal Saint Martin and swim. Of course, after that, it is worrying with regard to the heat and everything that it brings for people.
The heat wave has also spread across the rest of Europe, with Madrid forecast to reach 39 degrees Celsius and Rome expected to hit 37 degrees Celsius.
Well, you know, fanning myself and looking for some shade. The heat really is exhausting all the time, isn't it? And you end up looking for spots where you can relax a little more in the shade.
This is the second heat wave to strike Europe this year, following an earlier spell of unusually high temperatures last month. Meteorologists said a mass of hot air moving north from the Sahara, fueled by a high-pressure system known as the African anticyclone, has created a heat dome over Western and Central Europe.
After 50 days of intense protests, disrupted supply of fuel, food, medical items across Bolivia, the president has declared a state of emergency. However, protests continue in the political stronghold of the ex-Bolivian president, Evo Morales. Our next report getting you the latest from on the ground.
Since early May, Bolivia has been rocked by huge anti-government protests. Road blockades in several parts of the country left cities like Capital La Paz and El Alto short of fuel and food. At least 14 people lost their lives, and the economic losses have been estimated at over $2 billion. Dubbing the protests as an attempted coup, Bolivia's President Rodrigo Paz declared a state of emergency on June 20th, which was ratified by the country's parliament. It was aimed at restoring transit and supply of essential goods. The military has now been deployed to clear blockades and prohibit people from blocking roads and highways. But clashes between military forces and demonstrators broke out on the highway connecting Cochabamba to the center of Bolivia. While the security personnel were seen firing tear gas, protesters allegedly threw explosives at them.
They, roadblockers, threw stones at me and tossed dynamite into my truck. And last night they threatened to burn my truck again. So last night we had to sleep in fear.
Cochabamba is considered the political stronghold of ex-Bolivian President Evo Morales. Coca Growers Union, close to him, are leading protests there. The government accuses him of instigating and financing protests to secure immunity from a judicial probe into the alleged abuse of a minor when he was president. However, Morales has denied this and linked the protests to economic hardship. In a tragedy, an Air Force jet which had been conducting aerial patrol over a blockaded highway connecting La Paz and Cochabamba crashed, leaving 6 people dead. Amid the protests, the government has left the doors open for dialogue to resolve the crises.
The doors are open to continue dialogue. Moreover, this decree provides the possibility of continuing dialogue with the groups that want to resist. But today, the Constitution has already mandated that we must safeguard and guarantee Bolivians' freedom of movement.
There is a ray of hope for the people. After successful negotiations with many protesters, the number of roadblocks have been reduced to 28. While the emergency will last 90 days, the government has hinted that it could be lifted earlier if violence comes to an end. Bureau Report, Leon, Wild is One.
From Akshay Kumar to Shahid Kapoor and Maharashtra Chief Minister's wife, celebrities, high-profile figures across India marked International Yoga Day by dedicating their time to fitness, wellness. Take a look at this report.
हटते हुए ऊपर ले जाएं सांस।
Yamal has finally arrived at the world stage. The 18-year-old starred for Spain and proved his quality with a goal, and he is our hero of the day. In fact, he missed the conclusion of Barcelona's domestic season because of a hamstring injury and only played 20 minutes off the bench in Spain's opening draw. In fact, he was handed his first ever World Cup start against Saudi Arabia, and it took him just 10 minutes to slide in at the back post and get on the score sheet. And by doing so, he became the second youngest player to open the scoring at a World Cup match, only behind Pelé in 1958. Yamal is the 8th youngest man to score at a World Cup. For some perspective here, Pelé had scored 6 goals as a 17-year-old. And at 18 years, 343 days to be precise, Yamal also becomes Spain's youngest goal scorer at the World Cup. And he has scored his first World Cup goal at a younger age than the likes of Messi and Mbappe. With the goal, Yamal also completes the set in terms of scoring in major tournaments for club and country. He has now scored in La Liga, the Spanish Super Cup, the UEFA Champions League, the European Championships, and the FIFA World Cup. Meanwhile, Iran left a message of peace following their World Cup group match against Belgium at Los Angeles Stadium. The handwritten note was left behind in their dressing room reportedly following that goalless draw in their second Group G game. The message read, I'm quoting, "We came to Los Angeles with pride, competed with honor, and leave with dignity. Thank you, Los Angeles, for your hospitality, and thank you to every Iranian who gave their heart, voice and soul for Iran throughout these 180 minutes. May peace, respect and friendship prevail among all nations." The message also included the hashtags in references to the bombing of a school in Iran during the conflict involving the US, Israel and Iran. Los Angeles hosted both of Iran's Group G matches, remember, with the team traveling from its base in Mexico for each fixture. Iran opened their campaign with a draw against New Zealand before holding Belgium to a scoreless draw. And they now head to Seattle for their final Group G match against Egypt. Knowing that a victory could secure a historic place in the knockout stage, Iran are allowed to fly into the US a day before they have a game and have to leave the country on the same day as the match under the conditions of their visas. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition. We're taking a very short break right now. Thanks very much for watching. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off.
Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their home. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their time, celebrating, singing, dancing, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION, World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION, World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Campaigns, elections, alliances,